right. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. If you're a first-time listener, we're happy to have you, and thank you for taking some time out of your day to learn along with us. If you've listened to our first few episodes, we really appreciate it and hope we can keep bringing you some high-quality content that will help you reach your athletic potential. Today, I'm joined by our phenomenal coaches. Sitting with me today are Marilyn and James. Guys, hello. How's it going?
Hey.
Hey there.
Unfortunately, Rich couldn't be with us today. He's on vacation down in Florida. In our earlier episodes, we focused a little bit on helping the beginners out there plan and prepare for the start of their multi-sport journey. Today, we're going to try and put some stuff out there for the rest of you guys. So the beginners, you can definitely still get something from this, but this episode, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into how we can help you go about planning for next season, ironing out those goals and stuff like that, mapping things out so that you can have your best season yet. But first, just a little business clearing up with James.
Yeah, we just wanted to clear the air a little bit about our last episode. We had Dr. John Mendenhall on the show. We had some comments, some feedback, some controversy, maybe even a little outrage. So we just wanted to clear the air. Why don't we just play the clip first that we're talking about, and then we'll explain after.
Yeah. Okay, absolutely, folks. Here we go.
And you could just tell by the pictures that my sister and my now wife took of me.
So we wanted to make sure everyone knew his sister and his now wife are two separate people. It just came out weird. They are not, his sister is not his wife now. He was talking about at the time, it was his maybe fiance or girlfriend, probably his girlfriend at the time. And now she is his wife. And sister is separate. So
right. Sister was there also. There were two of them.
So
not one person.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah.
Scandal.
Very scandalous. Just want to make sure we don't get canceled.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So it's November here. Thanksgiving's around the corner. I think that, here in New Jersey, it's started to get cold. We had a couple of really nice days, but that cold weather has come back a little bit with a vengeance. It's down in the 50s now, and the season's kind of winding down. We've got a couple of fall running races to worry about. James has got a big one coming up in less than 2 weeks, but I think most athletes are starting to think about next year, and that's kind of our goal with this episode, is to dig into that kind of process. But I guess, James has still got a big one. James, how are you feeling? Taper started this week.
Yeah, I mean, today it's nice, the whole shift in mindset when you're training for a marathon, because today was just a 60-minute run, and before, a 60-minute run was like, oh my gosh, I have a long run today. But now I'm like, oh, just 60 minutes. So mentally, knowing that I made it through, I guess, the toughest part of training, and now it's just a little fine tuning, keep moving. I will say my confidence was shaken a bit on that last run I did on Saturday. It was like 75, 78 degrees. It was supposed to be like a marathon pace, and then the last three intervals just get as fast as I could. I think down to I think you had it down to like a 750 to 810 mile.
That was a hard one.
And I just broke down at mile 10. I classic James myself. I did like really good hydration. I even tried eating every 20 minutes.
I heard you were going to try that.
Just to see if I was missing out on something. I definitely wasn't going to do that on like the day of the race, but I was like, let me just test it out here. Like maybe I'm missing out on some free performance here. Even that didn't help me. I was just mile 10. I got so hot. I was head to toe sweaty. I thought about stopping. I was like, I can't finish this workout. But then Iron Cowboy back in my head again.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other. I think I finished around like 9:30 pace, which is not terrible, but I felt good. The thing was, I was feeling so good in the beginning, right, and it just all fell apart.
Well, the heat will do that to you.
Yeah, the heat will break you.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there's not a freak hot weather weekend in Philly. If it's 40 degrees, I think I'll be really happy.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
My confidence was shaking a little bit, but Greg is, talks me off the ledge. And
I'm wearing my Philly shirt in support.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The marathon that I didn't do, but they sent me the shirt by accident.
Oh, nice. I might tell them about that at the race.
Yeah. So it'll be kind of exciting to see how this goes. You felt like this was kind of a big as to kind of roll into the goals, you felt that this was kind of a big thing to do before we kind of embark on the Ironman journey, right?
Yeah, I think it was it's like every race that I've done, I guess, before the half Ironmans, like I've always done that running distance, either in training or a race, or biking we've done on a workout, or the swim. We always do that kind of yardage in workout. So the run was always like the scariest thing for me. And to just even wrap the idea of a Ironman in my head, I was like, I've never even done a marathon. How am I going to do the 2.4 mile swim, the 112 mile bike, and then a marathon? So mentally, it feels like if I could do a marathon and clear that distance in my head, then I can like, all right, let me start to put the training and all the pieces in motion, knowing that I've at least done it,
Sure.
and then move from there.
Yeah. I think Triathlete, either their online thing had an article this week about how you don't need to do a marathon if you're planning to do an Ironman, because it's such a different thing. But like you said, if it's a mental hurdle, then you want to get over that mental hurdle so that you can jump into it when we get to that stuff, you know. So what we thought as a kind of good way to go through how we kind of plan our season, structure our off season and stuff like that, is to talk about some of our goals. But I think what we'll do first real quick is just kind of talk about what our off season looks like, just for a quick second to get an idea of where we're starting from, I guess, in a physical, mental, emotional kind of place, before we start the season. Then we'll talk about our goals, and then we'll kind of talk about what we can do to make sure we stack the deck in our favor to reach those. So Marilyn, what's your off season look like for you, from just a kind of across the board, training, life, balance, like all that stuff? What do you look for in the off season?
I think for starters, I try not to be so strict about my workouts and what I have planned, which generally I am pretty disciplined when it comes to that. So on the off season, I'm a little more flexible, and if something comes up, it's okay. I try and do different things. Although recently I haven't been able to because I have plantar fasciitis, but I like to incorporate more trail running and do other things I enjoy other than just road running, cycling, and swimming. And what I really, really try to focus on, which I've been doing well with recently, is strength training. It's so important. And in the off season, you have a little more time to really focus on that. And it's helped me with my running tremendously. So,
and you're a big downhill skier, right? You find time for that in the wintertime?
Right. So I do that in the wintertime on the weekends, and just try and do a little bit of everything that I enjoy. Not be so strict and structured.
Like a normal human being at that point.
Exactly.
Reintegrate with the human population for a little while.
I can go out. If I go out and I have a good time, that's fine.
Yeah. That is a good feeling, because think about how many nights when you're in the training, you're like, oh, it's like 9 o'clock, and you're like, now you're feeling like pressure, like, oh, I gotta get up tomorrow. Like, you're gonna hit the point of no return at some point.
Yeah,
and that stress.
Or you go out and you're like, no, I can't drink, and I'm gonna have a good time.
Of course,
gotta live a little.
Yeah. I kind of do the same thing. I think I probably take a little bit more time off than you. I do a pretty big reset. I let my numbers in Training Peak drop quite a bit.
That's so scary.
Yeah, I've learned that I'm okay with it. It's part of the kind of the natural cycle of how you train in this kind of rigid, structured way for so long. Your body just needs a chance to be like, all right, let's chill for a bit.
What do you mean you let your numbers drop?
So Training Peaks has a bunch of different numbers, and there's a couple other programs I use that to look at kind of where my load, my aerobic load is at. The biggest one in Training Peaks is called CTL, or your chronic training load. It's a 42-day rolling average of how much training stress you've accumulated. When we get into race season, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but most people, it can vary a ton. But you have usually in the 70 to 100, what's called TSS per day range. And that basically means like if you're at 80 TSS in your CTL, that every day for the last 42 days, you've averaged 80 training stress points. So that's like an hour and 20 hour and 30 minutes of kind of easy effort. It's going to be a little bit different based on what you're doing, but I have no problem letting that drop in the off season, and then knowing, and we'll talk about this later, but like how quickly I can ramp up without having to worry about getting sick, how quickly my body responds to that training increase and stuff like that. And I know that it's okay for me to take those dips at the correct times of the year.
I struggle with that last year that I had to do that. I was almost forced to, because it's not what I normally do. And mentally coming back from that was so hard. Just because
you felt out of shape?
Yeah. I just felt like, oh my God, yeah, just 6 months ago I could do this easily. And now it's, my hardest workout. And that was tough.
So I feel like sometimes ignorance is bliss, because I don't follow much in Training Peaks other than the workouts you send me. Right. So I don't even know these numbers mean or anything. I just know, am I doing stuff or am I not doing stuff?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. And like, if you, like, it's good to take a little bit of a break. For me, the end of the school year or the start of the school year is a time like kids' sports start. My time, it's easier for me to spend time with them. I'm not coaching, because in addition to triathlon coaching, I also coach swimming for our high school team. That starts up in November. At that point, my time becomes, I don't want to say more valuable, because that's not what I mean. I have less free time. So everything at that point kind of needs to be very structured. Before that, I have a lot more free time. I can make room for stuff. And so that's a good time of year for me to just kind of let loose with the training and not make my training the focus of everything. Once swim season starts, then it needs to be scheduled. And so that's a kind of a natural spot for me to start my preseason or my early season training, So that's kind of where I'm at. And James, you just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm like the common man beginner voice. I just kind of wing it and see what happens. I'm finding if I don't have anything planned, like race wise, then I'll just do like the basic 3 times a week that's programmed for the group, like the general workouts. I'll try to at least do that to stay active and not forget how to swim and bike and have some kind of run conditioning. And it's easy to do since it's like a lot of those are group workouts. So like it's just to hang out with the team. Yeah. So it's fun. I'll always do that. But otherwise, in those other days, those other 4 days, if I don't have anything really to do and waking up at 5 a.m. is like, there's not as much motivation to do so. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess this will be my second kind of off season from triathlon ever. Yeah. I have some goals in mind this time, and to think more ahead, whereas last year was just, actually last year you guys talked me out of doing the Philly Marathon. I just wanted to do it after the September. Was it September we did AC? And I was just like so fired up.
Yeah. What do you think about a marathon in a month? We were like, what? Yeah. No.
So
I shot that one down very quick.
I don't know what I did. Came across some 5Ks maybe or whatever, but I really had nothing else planned until I don't know. I don't remember when we signed up for Muscleman.
Very early.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I had some idea of to do something. Oh, you know what? I ended up signing up for the Philly half in March. But that one I didn't start training till February or something.
Yeah. It was like a month
disclaimer,
before.
I wasn't on payroll for that race.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I think it was after that race. I was like, all right, I need to go back to coaching.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very loose. I don't really know. My off season is probably like a lot of beginners who just figure it out and.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think everybody's a little bit different in the way they want to approach it. I think in addition, it's a mental reset for me more than it is anything else. I realize that I need that mental reset, and that's going to come with a loss of fitness, and I have to be okay with that because I realize I've done it. I've kind of like tried it every which way, and if I just try and keep the train rolling, it usually doesn't work well. And I usually run into problems with motivation when I can't have those problems too close into race season, or I get to that first race and I'm like, let's go. And then that race is done. And I'm like, oh man, this has been such a long trip to get here. And I take too much time off after that, So I realized that this time October, early November is an okay time to just train when I want to train. Have, I haven't gone over threshold, other than a group ride going up a hill for a short period of time. I haven't done any kind of like hard workouts, and I'm fine with that. Because I kind of know what my body can do coming back from that, So let's talk then. James kind of brought it up, goals. I think that's a good spot to start because I think that helps you kind of pave the way for what the training needs to look like and what your season needs to look like to help you get to those goals. So we're gonna air our goals out on for everyone, all our tens of listeners to hear, and I think getting them out there helps people. Are we going to divulge, because James and I talked about this, how we have the goals we tell like you and we make public, and then we have our secret goals that that we're not sure that if they're a pipe dream, but they're... I think it's okay to share pipe dreams. And we're not going to call them pipe dreams. The reach goals. There are reach goals.
Yeah.
I had asked James what his goal was for Philly, and he was like, well, it says this, and then he goes, and then I have my secret goal. I was like, oh, I have that too.
I think we all have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's kind of do both of those, because I think that opens up for a good discussion over like, what's like, how different are they, and like, are you undershooting with your standard goal versus overshooting with your reach goal? So who wants to start? You want to do one and then just kind of go around, or do you want to?
Yeah, maybe just popcorn it.
Yeah. Okay, James, you got your phone out with your list.
Oh, I didn't even write anything down. It's just
I thought you were looking at your phone. He's just looking at his phone. He's not even.
He's not that prepared.
I mean, okay.
So share one. Just
one goal would be. And it's like a 2-part one goal.
It's like Rich is sitting here.
Well, Rich is like, well, you should do this, but on the other hand, you really should do that.
Jumping off high things.
Did Rich dial in?
It's like Rich is really here.
Yeah.
He's calling in.
So I definitely want to focus on strength this off season. A specific strength goal would be to be able to squat 315 pounds and deadlift 315 pounds.
Okay, so let me ask you, is that only because that's 3 plates on each side, or is it really something to that?
I mean, that was when I was in kind of my peak of my strength training, I think my 1 rep max squat was around 325, something like that, 335, and my deadlift was, I think, like 305, 310, something. I was like just short of 3 plates. So it's definitely a stretch goal if that was like when all I was doing was kind of strength.
Sure.
And I could barely get there. So I'm not going to build that in 6 weeks or something,
right.
But I want to see how strong I can get my legs and
how close you can get.
Sure. Yeah. And I think we keep saying off season, the winter season almost, because we don't really have too much of an off season. It's a good time to focus on strength because you're not putting as much load on your body aerobically. So you'll be able to absorb what you do strength-wise,
Or worried. For me, a lot of times during the regular season when I'm strength training, I'm always worried, like, is what I'm doing then going to affect my important workout that I have tomorrow?
Yeah, 100%. Because in the beginning of this marathon train, I tried to squeeze in going to CrossFit on my like recovery day, which was usually a Monday. And in the beginning, I was able to do it a little bit.
Don't think you're supposed to CrossFit on your recovery day. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And then later, as the runs got longer and harder, and then I would basically destroy my legs at CrossFit, it was like I couldn't do the rest of the workouts. And I realized, all right, I have to focus. If my goal is this marathon right now, I need to make sure that happens. So I had to just let it go.
Yeah. I think that honestly, if you want to strength train deep into your season, excuse me, you almost need to program or have your strength workouts on the same day as your hard workouts.
Right.
So you'd go and do a track workout on Thursday or Friday morning and then go to the gym because because you're already hurting yourself, right? You're already putting yourself in the hole. You're going to need to recover from that hard run for a day or two. So if you do your strength on top of that, you're still going to get that recovery where now when Monday is your recovery day and you're adding load on that day, now you're not getting the recovery that the plan has for you. And like, so early on in the run, it was okay because it was probably supplementing as we were building up your run volume. But when it, people who want to strength train into their build and specialty phases of their training need to make sure that it's a lot of moving pieces to figure out where does strength go, where do your hard, sessions go. It's very difficult to.
Your easy days should stay easy.
Should stay right across the board.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm learning all new kinds of things
notes
here. Yeah. I should take notes. I'll always have this podcast to listen to again.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that why our numbers are so high?
It's just James listening over and over.
There is a rumor that someone started that, whatever 111 listens we had at some point, that 100 of them were my listens. I was like, no.
No, it records per device.
Oh.
So I'll go next. My biggest goal for this coming season is to find a healthy race weight under 190 pounds. So right now I'm at about 205. So that's about 15 pounds from where I'm at. When I was bike racing, I found that the lowest I've ever been when, physically active and a grown adult, was about 178 pounds. And so at 6'2", 178, that's still kind of big for a bike racer. But I lost power when I did that. My FTP at that point, I think maxed out at about 310. But I put on that same season, I got down to 178, and it might have just been I didn't give my body a long enough time to adjust to that new weight and just let the power come naturally. But I put on about another 7 pounds, and at 185, my FTP jumped another 25 watts, and I was at like 330, 335. So I'd trade that 7 pounds of body weight. So I under 190 is definitely a good size for me. I've always struggled with my weight. It's like I was never like the fat kid, if we're allowed to say that, but I wasn't the kid on the pool deck who was ripped and had the 6-pack and stuff. I always carried that extra weight around with me. As I got older, it didn't get easier to get that off. So my big goal is to figure out a way, just pretty much through diet. I have to clean up my eating habits and stuff like that, but get down to about somewhere in that 185 range is probably, a good number for me, and then see what happens from there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I think you kind of touched upon it. What do you think was the biggest roadblock from reaching that goal in the past?
Self-control.
Self-control.
Yeah. So I think I've mentioned this before on the pod, but I'm I'm not a people person, which is weird for a teacher to say, right? That, but I'm a loner, like by nature. I just kind of I enjoy my alone time, and I need that time. For me, that either happens when I'm exercising or at night after everybody goes to bed. And if it happens at night after everybody goes to bed, I'm also raiding the snack closet. So a big way for me to lose weight is honestly to just go to bed really early and not have that option. So it's kind of a win-win. You get a little more quality sleep, and I don't eat my kids' Halloween candy.
Are you a savory snacker or
Dude,
sweet?
I will raid whatever I can find. My biggest Achilles heel is ice cream. I will eat the hell out of some ice cream.
Vanilla? Right?
No. It's so funny. Like, there are times where that's the only thing in the freezer, and I'm like, really? Like,
That's
this is where I
good.
have to go to? Like, and I'm like, do we have some caramel sauce, some chocolate sauce? Like, what can I put on this to make it not so vanilla?
Well, I don't hate vanilla, but I definitely like to have a little more
I don't hate
pizzazz.
it. Right.
You could. That's the thing with vanilla. You can do anything with it.
Yeah.
So, Greg, your diet could start with eating vanilla ice cream plain, so you're not putting
So
on the
I'm not-
toppings and all this
Right.
extra
Yeah. I think I should just go with not eating the ice cream.
baby steps.
Baby steps. So that's my big goal. It's something I have to be very careful with because it's really hard to balance gaining fitness and losing weight. Like, when you're putting your body under that and you're asking it to adapt to the training, being in a calorie deficit is very difficult. So it has to be slow. I can't try and drop a pound or two a week. That would just put me in a really bad spot. So it's going to have to be slow, steady, and just kind of adjust my food intake as I kind of adjust my workload through training.
I've always heard like a pound a week is like the maximum you want to do. That's like
Yeah.
sustainable.
It's probably really that's hard.
I think
feel
it depends on your size. Somebody
Oh, yeah.
like you would have a harder time, I think, doing that. But I mean, and even just like look at numbers, like you're a lot smaller than I am.
Mhm.
If you're doing an FTP workout on the bike, maybe it burns 500 or 600 calories. Where if I do an FTP workout on the bike,
You
it might burn
more.
1,000 or
Yeah, you burn
1,100.
a lot more.
So it's a little bit easier for me to burn through that pound of fat in a week versus you.
Right.
A pound of fat is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 3,500 calories.
Yeah, that's kind of the roundabout number.
So I think what I've read or heard was, if you basically cut 500 calories a day in a week, you'll get to that 1 pound, and 500 is manageable. But then it also depends. Like if your maintenance calories are only 1,500,
Right.
then
Right.
500
Is a
a
big-
day
it's
is
a
a
big
third of
percentage.
your,
That's a lot,
right.
yeah.
So it has to scale.
And I found in the last year or two, when I started getting into triathlon, I was about 240, and I dropped down to where I'm at now.
Oh, beefcake.
Beefcake is the word. I don't think I said this. My first triathlon, I won the Clydesdale division, and I said like, I don't want to enter the Clydesdale division again. I want that to be like, I understand why the division's there. I think it's changed over time as to why it's there, but it wasn't the same feeling as like winning your age group or being in the overall kind of game. So for me personally, I wanted to because I started doing it to lose weight. And so I wanted to keep that going. But I found that, I totally just brain farted everything I was about to say. I was like, oh yeah, I can't have that calorie deficit during my training. I have to fuel my training, and I have to create the deficit through my eating the rest of the day. And I found that if I tried to restrict calories when I was during my workouts, that it would cause me to get so hungry the rest of the day that I would overeat and lose that deficit that I had created. So I've started fueling much more when I'm working out, and then I finish my rides or my runs and I feel I'm not that famished state, and I feel like I can control my eating the rest of the day. And that's helped a little bit. And I just have to kind of work on dialing that in for me.
That's a great tip, I think, for beginners. Because I remember when I used to go on group rides with everyone early on, I never ate anything because I was so used to before I would just train and go as long as I could until I was just tired. But I would never go really as long as we did. And I remember always hitting a mile, like a wall around like 25 miles on the bike. And I remember like trying to pedal and just seeing everyone go like further and further away, not being able to keep up. And then eventually I realized, I need to eat something. And I always thought of exercise. Oh, I want to lose weight as kind of a side benefit of this training we're doing. So in my head, I was like, I shouldn't eat anything because then I'm just going to negate the benefit of this exercise.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later on that I learned, you definitely fuel.
And I think that
exercise
comes from the distinction between training to perform and
Correct.
training for exercises, right?
You don't really train for exercise to lose weight necessarily.
No, yeah, I
right?
agree 100%. Yeah, we're training to perform.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it.
Marilyn, your goal?
So I would have to start with swimming because it's been kind of like the thing I can't, I want to improve, and I know that I could be better, but I just can't get there.
So what specifically about swimming?
I want to be faster.
Faster how?
Duh.
Do you have numbers in mind?
I mean, I would like to be able to average close to 2 minutes in a 70.3 swim.
Where does that
At
put
best.
you time-wise on it? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
Low
40?
Maybe like 45-ish, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is my goal. I think we're planning for a swim block and to just swim maybe more often. Right now I'm swimming twice a week, so maybe swim 3 times a week instead.
It's tough to
Work
add
on-
those extra sessions.
Yeah.
Getting to the pool and all that just
It
adds
takes
a
so
level.
much time, and when you swim slow, it takes even more time. Yeah, but I think, and now kind of in the off season, I could kind of push running aside a little bit and just focus more on swimming. So that is number one.
I think that's a great thing about triathlon. Like you said, you're dealing with plantar fasciitis. And then if you have a goal in something else, like it kind of works out, like you can't run as much as you want to, but you want to improve your swim, like you have that to work on. If you were just a runner, like what would, what would you be doing?
I wouldn't,
right now?
I said this early on when I first got plantar fasciitis, not only that, but the pool we swim at was closed.
Yeah.
So I was working on cycling. So that is definitely a good thing. But that is what I want to do.
All right.
Get faster.
2 minutes. Make it happen.
Yeah, totally doable. What do you got, James? Next one?
Next.
All right. I don't know if I thought much beyond that first one. I don't know if I have time to work on anything else, but I think my other goal now would be being able to run a half marathon at any time.
That's actually on my list.
Really?
Yeah.
I just read it, so I just used no.
Yeah. You could do that.
I mean, I don't think I had that confidence before, but part of my idea of doing this marathon after doing the half Ironman was like, if I can get used to running this distance for training, then hopefully my like normal like volume could just be half marathons all the time. And so I just always be ready if I want to do a half marathon race or if I want to do a half Ironman, like the running, it wouldn't be such a like hard build up to that run.
Right.
So that's my goal. So hopefully after this race, I want to go back to trail running and not have to focus on pace so much and just enjoy the act of running, but just like always be able to put miles on during the week and recover. And it's just anything now, like hopefully like going from 30-40 miles a week and then to just doing like 12 or 15 will feel nice.
Yeah, that's on my list too. Is I kind of want to make that half marathon is almost like my standard long run, so that once I build up to that I can just stay there for at least most of this season. So that's just normal. That 2 hour kind of nice, easy run is, it doesn't trash you, Yeah. So for me, I know one of my goals that's written right above that on my list is I need to make like a prehab routine to prevent some of the injuries that I've had in the past. Part of my just everyday standard pre-run routine, and that's get those little silly strength exercises done every day, even though they feel ridiculous when you're sitting there doing clamshells on your living room floor or something like that. And my kids are like, "Dad, what are you doing?"
It's only silly if you have a full spandex on, a sweatband.
No, it's silly all
the
socks up to an ill-fitting Speedo.
It's silly all the time.
That's a good goal though, because I'm sure none of us really make the time to do those things.
Right. And that's why it's written down on a piece of paper and it's not in action yet, but
I'm going to add that to mine.
Yeah. So the running things, that was always my thing. Was running's always been my, no pun intended, Achilles heel. But I want to kind of make myself a more sturdy runner. And I do think that losing that weight will also help with that a big time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Marilyn, you got
my turn?
Yeah.
My number 2 would be increase my bike power.
You're already a pretty strong cyclist. You're going to be a monster if you do that.
I got Mont Tremblant coming up, so I want to be able to be strong on the bike for that. And I always feel at the end of all the few races that I've done that my run should be better. And I think it's because I bike too hard and then my run is not where it could be during the race. So I think if I get stronger on the bike, then it'll all kind of
Yeah, that's definitely fitness that helps all over the place.
So that was actually a goal I had last year, and I didn't get to work on it, but this year I want to work on that.
Seems like you improved a lot though on the bike.
I'm still not really where I was at the end when I did AC.
But so your FTP might not be the same, but having ridden with you now for however long it's been, your general fitness on the bike and kind of what you can do over long periods of time, I think is stronger than it was
I could see
2
that.
years ago.
True.
You ride shoulder to shoulder with me on most of our rides, and
Mhm.
you're able to
True.
handle that. You weren't doing that 2 years
no,
ago.
I wasn't. You're right. Good
So
point.
it's
Thank
one
you,
thing
Frank.
on Zwift to throw out numbers, but real world,
Right.
when the tires are on the road, I think you're a stronger cyclist now than you were.
True.
Are you
Thank
going to get any new gadgets or toys to assist in your bike power quest?
I already told you what I'm getting.
Oh,
Wait, what are you getting?
The race helmet.
Oh.
It's free power.
Okay. So it's like cheating
Right?
power.
Am
it's
I
free speed.
It's free
Yeah,
speed.
no
That's
free
what I meant.
power.
Not free power. Free speed.
Yeah.
I thought maybe something more fun, like I don't know, new
Like
trainer,
what?
like a new smart trainer,
I
or
have already a pretty decent.
maybe one for the front wheel.
trainer.
Front wheel. You mean
Front
the
wheel
climb?
trainer? What?
Oh, you should get that.
The Wahoo climb?
Yeah, the thing that makes you feel like you're climbing for
My
Tremblant.
bike does that.
Oh, do you have the Wahoo bike?
Yes,
Oh,
Whoa.
that's
So-
That's nice.
Wow,
I want one of those
Uh-huh.
too.
I do.
great.
That's
It's a
sweet.
gift.
Now everyone's gonna buy one.
Let's put a link.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, no, I cannot buy one.
Can we put it on our Amazon page?
I gotta fix that. Just reminded me. All right. I guess another one of my main goals is, I don't know if it's a goal or I want to find out why I cramp so much.
Mm.
And so the first step is I want to go get one of those sweat tests and figure out, is it salt? Like, am I
Mhm.
sweating too much salt? Am I just sweating too much? Is it a certain mineral or salt that I'm like, maybe I need more potassium or magnesium? What, maybe like there's something, because I
Mhm.
just have this thing with cramping all
Right.
the time.
Did you cramp on that long run? that you did?
No, not these runs though. Actually, I haven't had
On
too
last
bad.
weekend, you didn't cramp.
I didn't cramp. I was just tired. I was just fatigued. I started actually, my calves towards the end felt like they could have if I pushed harder. But I think because I ate so much and I was using the cyst gels that have, like, they
Mhm.
claim you don't have to drink hydration.
Right.
I had that and hydration with electrolytes. I think I was okay. So, I mean, I guess that's a clue.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Part of me also wonders just exertion sometimes too.
Yeah, and that's
Have you
probably a
looked
big
at-
part of it.
Have you looked at your bike setup?
Not really.
Because you cramp on the run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because after I had my bike fit, I didn't cramp anymore, and my calves used to cramp, and
Do you cramp on the bike too?
I did towards the end of the ride.
Yeah.
My calves would a little, and then once when I ran,
Because
it was a mess.
my biggest culprit are my quads, and I'll cramp on on the bike too. I
would look at your bike fit.
I guess so. I should. I did a ride once
Greg,
with.
what do you think of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, 100. I mean, the bike you have now, you were not fit on that bike, right?
I was fit on both of my bikes.
Oh, you were.
Yeah,
Okay.
But by like some by who?
Well,
a
let's
bike
not-
fitter.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
not,
no,
let's
I
not
don't
drop
mean
names.
no. I don't mean who specifically,
Cease
but
and
was
desist
like
letters are going to start coming
yeah,
in.
no, I don't mean specifically name a name, but was it like a bike fitter who does bike fit for
For a
triathlon?
living, like
yeah.
only
Yeah.
does bike
Right.
fit.
Like a comprehensive,
right?
yes.
Yes,
comprehensive
because
bike
it's
fit.
not the same.
Yeah, I should look into it. Because I've had like I had a bike once. We were supposed to be like a group ride. I forget, a bunch of us, and then it ended up being just me, Henry, and Tim,
Oh,
and we rode to Harriman.
Feel sorry
And
for you.
Those are some tough guys. to
oh
get stuck
my
in a ride
gosh,
with.
it was like that's
I
like.
think I remember that we both backed out.
Did we?
And Rich
Yes.
was supposed to come. Rich was. I
Uh-huh.
was like, all right, at least I have Rich to hang
I
back
was like,
with.
no way.
Yeah, and then at the end, I was feeling twinges of cramps the entire ride just to try to keep up with him. And then at the end, we're in Paramus. We went up. I think Soldier Hill Road is the name.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I just remember halfway up that climb, one quad cramped up, and then the other. So then both my legs were just like stuck straight, and I just like tipped over.
You actually
Oh
fell
my
over.
God.
I fell over to the side of the road. Look, and it was like a narrow road, and I made it luckily to like there's like a driveway, and I was just like walking like
oh my God.
two stiff legs trying. I
Yeah.
couldn't even get off the bike. It was so bad, and I was just locked up. I sat there for at least a good 20 minutes or so before I could finally like move
Oh,
again.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it might be worth getting that bike fit checked out,
Yeah.
bike fit.
especially on the tri bike.
Okay.
Mhm.
Marilyn's had a good experience with a guy, right?
Yes,
He came
I do.
came
Yes.
to you.
He came
All right.
comes to your house.
All right, I'll get your guy.
I will pass that on.
Let's see. Other ones? Anything else? I feel like I've got a bunch on here, but I don't want to just...
What is your deepest, darkest secret goal?
Well, are we going into also race goals or just what we want to work on? Because
so I've got one more that's not a...
Okay, go for it.
Two more that aren't race goals. So I want to improve my aerodynamics on the bike. I ran there, with my position. So there's a website called Best Bike Split that lets you model your position and tries to figure out kind of like you can use it to either predict race times or you can use race times to work backwards to figure out what your actual aerodynamics are, like your coefficient of drag. And when I did that with some results, my drag numbers were higher than I would have thought them to be. So I'm basically going slower for a given power output than I could be going if I cleaned up my position. So a goal for the winter is to kind of just work on trying to find a little bit more of a slippery position and then get comfortable in that position. So same thing as you, I've had a bike fit a couple of years ago, and they actually moved me up and said like, this will be more comfortable and you probably won't lose too much aero from it. And I'm kind of thinking about trying to go back to the position I used to have that's a little bit more low, gets my back a little bit more flat, but it's going to take some training to be able to hold that position for 2.5 hours on the bike and then run off of it. So that's a big kind of process goal for me. The other one is to get so in the past couple of years, I've kind of built my fitness up for race day and then taken a little bit time off after that and let it drop. And then kind of, if you looked at that CTL number we were talking about before, it's kind of like jagged.
Up and down.
Yeah. So the goal is to get it a nice steady build up until my early races and then hold it there for the course of the summer and into our fall race instead of having a dip and then coming back. There'll be a little dip of recovery week afterwards after we do Eagle Man, but then just kind of jump back into it and see if I can maintain that. What I want to know what happens to my body with a really long period of high fitness because I haven't had that in a while.
Maybe the rest of us can start programming your workouts for you.
Maybe that's somebody still has to do them. If all it was a programming issue, I'd be the fittest guy on the planet. So those are my last two kind of like process season type of goals that I've got. So then we can get into race stuff if you guys want to.
Yeah, Marilyn, what is your race goal if there's a time, and then what is your secret race goal?
Let's set the stage. We're all planned to do 2 half Ironmans this coming season, right? Marilyn, you're doing Mont Tremblant at the end of June.
Yes.
And North Carolina in the beginning of October. Mm-hmm. Me and James are doing Eagle Man, which is 2 weeks earlier, I think, in June. And then we're also traveling down to North Carolina for October. So stage is set. Marilyn, let's hear it.
So for Mont Tremblant, that one's hard.
It's a hard one to figure out, right?
Right. I think something that you mentioned once in the whole Ironman plan that we have, I just want to feel strong on it. I won't, because I've never done a race with that kind of elevation. It's a lot, both on the bike and the run. So
it's about 5,000 feet of climbing on the bike, right?
Yeah.
That's a heavy climb.
So I want to just feel strong. So I'll be in Harriman quite often. Mm-hmm. And one of my goals leading up to that is also I need to get more comfortable eating on the bike while I'm climbing. Because I'm not good at that.
And you might not be able to pick when you're going to eat if there's so much
climbing.
And
you're just
I know have to eat.
Right.
It's going to have to happen.
It has to happen. So like I know from experience when we go to Harriman and I've gone on my tri bike, I don't eat half as much as I do when I'm on my road bike. So then having said that, for North Carolina, I'd like to get under 5:45.
It's a fast swim, supposedly.
It's a very fast swim.
Then that'll be good.
It's a downriver swim. It's a current assisted swim, I think.
But yeah, so
now
I think I could do it.
5:45?
Under.
Is that the real goal?
So how much under?
That's probably my real goal. The more, the better.
Yeah.
That's probably, I don't think I have anything more secret than that. I don't think I could get any lower than that, but I don't know. It's too soon to tell. We'll see.
Maybe it depends on what everyone else's goals are.
No. I know what yours is. Yours sounds nice too,
Well,
but I can't.
That might not be actually my secret goal. Who knows?
I know it's not. If that's the one you put out, I'm sure your secret is.
I don't even know what's realistic. Yeah. So for me, if I was just for racing, so definitely my regular goal would be a sub 6 half Ironman, because I think the first one I did was like a 6:01. The second one,
I don't think it was even 6:01.
Yeah,
I think it was 6:00.
You were like
or
5.
something.
I was like 6:05.
He wasn't under 6. He missed it by like 9 seconds.
that's even worse now. Okay, and then I think the Muscleman ended up being like 6:11.
So you could definitely get under 6
with a really rough run, right? It was
right.
I basically walked most of that run. I'm pretty sure I had it in me to go sub 6 at Muscleman. So my regular goal would be sub 6. My secret goal would be a 5:30 half Ironman, but I think the course would have to be right. I don't even know if that's
North Carolina.
Maybe North Carolina could do that, and then my super secret.
Oh, there's more secrets.
There's more secrets.
Might be like, I don't know, 5:10. I don't know. Is that possible? Is that?
I don't know.
Normal? I don't know. Like, what does John do, man? 4 and change?
4:30s.
4:30.
4:30s?
Yeah.
All right, so maybe my goal would be 4:29.
I mean, you also have to see kind of, it's so early on. I feel like we got to see how
and I mean, the thing with you being your coach, no, you guys don't go there. This is a positive.
Yeah, not going to happen.
You, you had a really good year. You know, this whole year of training has been good for you. You did, you flirted with 6 hours with, how many weeks of structured training?
Right. Not many. We were all
7.
Yeah.
We worked for 7 weeks together to get to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I remember being like, oh shit, I don't know how I'm doing this.
It was like a month and a half. He's like, oh no, I think I better start training
I thought
for this.
I did it a lot longer this time.
This time.
Not the one before.
Oh, the one before. Oh, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, we had, I want to say like 12 weeks leading into Muscle Man. And then we got right into marathon build. You know, you're in a totally different spot with what your body's able to handle. So, you know, I don't think you're
with the right coach.
I think sub 6 sub 6 should not be your goal.
Right. I agree.
But that being said, like you said, your big goal is figure out your cramping issue. Like, that needs to fit into place, because
that's a major part.
That's a big part of it, right? You would have been sub 6 at Muscle Man.
You underestimate your running. Like, I know you cramp and everything, but you're a really good runner.
You rode 12 minutes faster at Muscle Man than you did AC.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Maybe that was a problem. I would definitely trade those 12 minutes for the 45 minutes I think I added on to my run, at least. Oof. Live and learn.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. Could have stopped at the porta potty.
I should have, yeah. I was just cried in there.
I did a little bit. So my race goals kind of mirror what yours are, Marilyn. I want Eagle Man to almost feel easy. I want, because our goals are further down the big goals are further down the line, and I think that I need to get to a point where that effort doesn't destroy me, and I can still kind of go fast. Realistically, I kind of want to be around 5:15 at Eagle Man, and that would be around a 30-minute swim, about a 2.5 hour bike. And my gut tells me I can go a lot faster on the bike than that. And then somewhere in the neighborhood of a 2-hour half marathon, that gets me faster than my goal. But that's kind of where I think I'm going to be. And with the idea that I'm not going to push to meet a number. some part of me doesn't love coming up with numbers and saying like this is because there's just so many pieces that need to fit into place. If I'm not going to push myself too deep to hit some magical number, some arbitrary kind of number. I just think that like I can see myself in that 5 to 5:15 range at Eagleman, but then North Carolina, I am going to push that. That's the big goal of the year, is to see how fast I can go there. And I do think that with a full summer of really focused, good training, and if I can meet my weight goal, then training at that weight for the remainder of the season, the big goal is to go sub 5 at North Carolina. So that's, I think, doable. I don't think the bike course is super hard. Downriver, or I don't know, it's a fast swim. I'd like to go like in the 27, 28 minute range for that. I really think my bike can be in the 225 to 222 range if I can get my aerodynamics dialed in. And I do think like a 150, 155 half marathon is in the cards. So that's kind of where I'm at with those.
I like how you talked about, though, like not trying to hit arbitrary times. I remember when I did my first coaching round with you for AC, you said, "What's your goal?" But it's like, don't give me a time. Like that's going to be my first half Ironman. I was still new to triathlon, but I'd come off of doing NJ State, and I felt terrible on the run. It was hot. I think I cramped.
It was a hard day too.
I cramped on that one too. So I remember just saying my goal would be, I just want to feel good on the run. Like that was my goal, and you delivered that. Like I felt so good. I remember you told me if I followed the plan, did everything, my second half of my run would feel great, and I'd start passing people, and that's exactly what happened. Like I kept a steady pace, I stuck to my intervals, kept to that whatever pace you told me to do, and then sure enough, second half of the run, I saw people just starting to kind of drop out, succumb to the heat, and I just kept going, and I finished like so strong. It was the best feeling. So
I remember your text message to me afterwards. It was just like you could almost read the excitement in just how happy you were with your performance that day.
And it made me feel like I was like, did I not try hard enough? But at the time, that's what I needed. Was just a solid good experience.
Right.
I think I have that feeling sometimes where I finish a race that I feel good during, and then I'm like, wait a minute, could I have pushed more? But yeah, you did great at that race.
There's a fine line, I guess, that you
can. It is a very fine line.
Push too hard and blow up, or
because I don't think there's ever been a time where I'm like, yeah, that was as hard as I could have gone, unless you do go over it and you blow up and you're like, oh, there it was.
Yeah.
Because
there's that line.
Found it.
Especially when you feel good. Like it's amazing what that euphoric kind of like great race feel is. But like, and I've had it a couple of times where it was just, and it's always been on the bike, and I've just had times where I'm like, I'm on a special day, and you finish and you're like, I wonder how much faster I could have been. I remember years ago, we did New Jersey does a 40K state championship time trial. And I remember having a power goal in mind, and I got up to that power and I was like, no, this is not hard enough. Like this is way too easy. And like I was supposed to be holding 300 watts, and my heart rate at that power should have been like 165, 167. And I was at like 150. And I'm like, this isn't like my heart rate suppressed or something. Like I've got a bump in fitness. I've hit that peak exactly right. So I'm like, okay, I did 3:15, and I beat my time from the last year by like a minute and a half. And I remember finishing, and I looked at my power file afterwards, and my last kilometer was like 420 watts. And I'm like, if I had that left after, 50 something minutes of riding all out, and I had 400 watts in my legs, like what could I have done the rest of the way? And it's just, you always have that question when you're in that kind of shape.
Yeah.
So I definitely think I think it's okay to have that and be like, could I have pushed a little bit harder? But you don't want to have that blow up.
Right.
But I think you do need to find that line. I think if you want to really know where you're at, you do need to push yourself to the limit.
Yeah, I think you definitely learn a lot more. Because I think if you're always having like kind of, I want to say easy experiences, but like easy races and everything goes well, I feel like you almost learn more though when you blow up and then really reflect on what happened, and learn a lot about yourself because it went, something went wrong and you tested a limit. So now you know a little bit more about yourself. So there's definitely value in
100%
blowing up.
Like I said, I remember a bike race, and it was a stupid little office park criterium on Thursday nights over in Rockley. And this little kid, I was 25 or something like that at the time. And this like 17-year-old schooled me. He just absolutely outsmarted me on the bike. And I still to this day,
you're still looking for him?
I don't know. I still to this day, like go over that race in my head. And I'm like, oh, you're such a fucking idiot. Like you shouldn't have, there's 2 or 3 things that I did that I'm like, he didn't win that race. You lost it. And like, I needed to learn those lessons because the next time I was in a similar situation, I didn't make those mistakes.
Yeah. So, you get smarter. I mean, as long as you learn from the mistakes, you're getting smarter. So,
And I remember after the Wyckoff race, I saw you guys and Rich, and I said to you guys, that was so hard. And one of you was like, well, yeah, it's supposed to be. And I think we forget that, like you forget that you have to push and get to that line.
Yeah. Yeah, we all come back stronger because of pushing ourselves to those limits. So does anybody have any other super secret pinky swear goals that need to be aired out?
I think so. James, you got something?
I'm thinking, I'm going through a catalog in my head, but
I'm kind of glad nobody said they want to finish in a certain spot or
that depends who shows up.
Right. And I think that's a big thing when you're making your goals is you can only make goals that you can be in control of. Triathlon's an interesting sport when it comes to like time and stuff like that. Like you can measure things down to the minute and sometimes seconds because there's not like a group component. You're not racing another person in the spots we're in. Like, listen, if the pros are racing each other, there's strategy involved in the way they race. For us, it's a time trial. You're out there for, however many hours on your own, kind of just suffering on your own. And so we can kind of get an idea where the time is. But like you said, you don't know who's going to show up to say, I want to make a world spot or I want to be in top 10% or top 10 or whatever it is.
And every race is so different. I do look at what the times are for a race for people in my age group, and looking at what the top 20 times are at Atlantic City compared to the top 20 times at Wilmington and Mont Tremblant is very different.
Yeah.
Very different people show up at those other 2 races.
It sounds like you're eyeing a top 20 finish.
No, I had that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, at Atlantic City. But I don't think I could do that at Mont Tremblant or Wilmington. The times are just way too fast. But, we'll see.
But you're going to be a different athlete then, too.
Yeah, but they're really fast.
They all started somewhere. I have confidence in you. I have more confidence in you than I do in myself.
Oh, you should have confidence in yourself because you are very fast.
Debatable.
So anything else that you think we should cover or talk about with regards to kind of meeting those goals? Where are we at? We're almost at an hour.
We can talk a lot.
We sure can. We got a lot to say. I think that without going too much into it, it's important to work backwards from those goals. I'm goal oriented. I like to look at where I want to be and then try and work back from there. To some extent, I think you can get yourself in trouble if you set too high a goals. And that I don't think anybody here really said anything that was so outlandish where the rest of us rolled our eyes and we're like, ooh, I don't know.
Like 102 Ironman in 102 days.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're not quite thinking like that. because if we set something ridiculous and I said like, oh, I want to go 410 at Wilmington, like that's ridiculous. You know, you could work your way back, and I need, you know, I can't get there. Like I can't get to what needs to happen to get there. But I think we all kind of have ideas of where we need to be, and they're all within reason for what we have to, what our build up to that has to look like. And I think we've all kind of taken to a very structured outlook to our training so that we can build progressively, kind of a periodized look, you know, a periodized approach to our training where we kind of have a base season and then a build, and then we focus on our race distance stuff. And then we kind of slowly progress through those and stuff. But having those goals and kind of having an idea of where you want to get to, you have to have the destination in mind, right? When you start your trip.
Yeah, I think you have to have the destination. It has to be specific. Like you can't just say I want to like travel the world. Like you should say like where do you want to go exactly? Because if you don't have it specific, then what are you actually like aiming for?
Right. And I think there's a lot of people out there who unfortunately just kind of aimlessly wander through their training and are, you know, they don't have that big goal that they're fighting for or working towards, and therefore they're just like, oh, I'll do this today, and you know, or they do the same thing every day, you know, the same type of bike workouts, the same run workout week after week, and you're just going to stagnate, you know. So I think having those focused goals helps you see what you need to do to get to those goals.
And I think you mentioned, kind of touched on this a little bit, is knowing your body and what it can handle and what you can do to get to where, to set your goal and to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things we'll do in a future episode is talk about all those kind of metrics and stuff that we can look at and what they all mean and how they all tie together. I think I'd end up talking too much if I tried to do that, because it would end up just like there's so much out there that you can track and measure and keep track of that it can become overwhelming. And I think you need to, like you said, you learn what your body can do. That's where a lot of those metrics become important because, you know, we mentioned your CTL, which is training peaks, and their measure of, they call it fitness. I don't like that because if you're at a CTL of 80 and I'm at a CTL of 80, we could be very, very different athletes. But what you need to learn is as you have more and more data built up, you might learn that you perform best at this number. And your best race results are all when you've got this level of fitness, this level of freshness and stuff like that. That's where just learning your body becomes important.
Taking those numbers and also assessing how you feel at those levels. Because it's kind of a combination.
It's 100% right. Yeah. So I think that we've done a pretty good job of, I'm happy to see where you guys want to be. Like that's exciting for me to kind of see everybody's goals and get an idea of kind of knowing what I have to, you know, little jabs on group rides and stuff. Be like, you want to get there, James, you better stick on my wheel, man. You know,
keep yours locked up with
James is going to text me and be like, you're not eating ice cream tonight.
Well, I just realized I made a fatal flaw, like sharing my goals to the person who programs my workouts now. Because then if I'm going too easy, you know what I want, and you're gonna have to give me what's good for me. Versus,
it's good though to do that.
Yeah, like I want to know them, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily gonna. Like you might say something. Sometimes you tell me things and I'm just like, yeah, that's not happening. We're not doing that.
But it's good to sometimes to share them. Like when it first kind of went into my head that, okay, I want to do a full Ironman, I told the one person that I knew would never let me back out of it. So, and sometimes
Smart.
it's good to tell somebody because.
Was that John or Yale?
It was Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the first one I texted him. Like, so I'm sure a lot of our listeners know Yale Glazer. And
he is a character that people know.
He would hold me to it.
Yeah. He knows all the bike signals.
Yeah.
Now, if we just were to back up though a little bit for beginners, right? Like goals for them, because like there's definitely probably a lot that sound overwhelming with all the numbers, CTL, TSS, whatever. I'm trying to think back, like maybe if they haven't even done a race yet, like what their goals should be in this offseason. Maybe they've done a couple group workouts with us, or they're thinking about signing up on that journey. I almost imagine either sign up for a relay, maybe if you're not comfortable on a certain part, or just sign up for a race, period. And then you're going to have to make things happen to finish that race. So, don't worry about times or whatever, but focus on the experience, but just get something on the calendar and then work backwards from there so that you could start developing your off-season stuff, your goals. And otherwise, like if you don't have anything.
And plan it. I don't know if we were going to talk about it today or another day, but plan something that not only you're going to be able to get to the race, but you're going to be able to work towards it. Like, don't plan a spring race. For me, spring races are very difficult because it's very difficult to train for it when I'm skiing. So keep those things in mind. Don't just jump in and then you're like James a month and a half before, like, better start training.
That was my mistake with the Philly half. I just did not think about having to wake up in the dead of winter.
And that's what I mean.
Cold,
like,
dark,
you have to think about
icy.
those things.
Yeah. Getting that hard work in. That's a tough thing for us athletes in the cold climate.
Yeah.
Like when those first, just waking up at 5 a.m. and going outside to run. And we had some cold days last year, below zero is not fun. So definitely take all that kind of stuff into account. But I think your idea, if you're getting into this sport, don't let the noise that's around you kind of mess with where you're at. Like your first race, and I don't care. Honestly, I don't care how good of an athlete you are. Your first race should just be experience the race. You could be coming in as a stud who is going to mop the floor with everybody at your small local race. You can't go in with that kind of mindset. I think because I think you'll get yourself in trouble. And I think you just have to go in with this. Let's have fun. Let's see what this sport's about. Let's try and enjoy ourselves. Let's try and meet some people. And this is step one in a journey and not the end goal.
Very true.
So anybody have anything else to add, or we're good to wrap this one up?
I think we're good.
Yeah. I've said what I needed to say.
Boom.
Boom. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you're still with us an hour and 7 minutes in. We got some exciting guests planned for the coming episodes. We're going to keep those under wraps though until we get them recorded. But thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're able to listen to this and set some of your own goals for next season. And hopefully those goals will help you have your best season ever. Thanks for listening. And from all of us here, take care. Bye, guys. Thank you again for listening to the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. We love bringing you content that we think will help you with your athletic journey, whatever that may be. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a review, drop us a 5-star rating in whatever podcast app you like to use, or leave us a comment about things you'd like to hear in the future. If you'd like to learn more about Team Next Level and all we offer, please go check out our website, goteamnltry.com. That's goteamnltry.com. There, you can find out about all the things we offer, such as our training squad for people in the northern New Jersey area, one-on-one coaching options for both local and remote athletes, as well as more useful content for those of you just looking to learn a little bit more about us. Remember, that's goteamnltry.com. Thank you again for giving us a listen, and for myself and all the coaches, we can't thank you enough for listening to our podcast and spending some time with us.